Stories Podcast, your number one show for everything guitar.
Wait, I'm not ready.
Hello, everyone. Andy's obviously not ready, but welcome to episode 46 of the Guitar Stories Podcast. Hey!
Putting my sexy flashy lights on. There we go.
Hey, yeah.
Woo,
You can leave.
mama.
You don't have to
we've
put
had
on the red light, Andy. You don't have to put on the red light.
Roxanne! We've had a crash in the system before we even started, so that was good. And we've got Jason already trying to call into the show. He is ready to come in live in a little bit. Man, what a great weekend I have had. How about you? You first, Daniel-san.
Not too excited, actually. Just a very calm weekend with the family, playing some guitar, teaching my older daughter how to play the piano a little bit. So she's now doing some like tries to do some chords and sings. And I really like that she's doing the rhythm. You know, like don't do that. That's pretty cool. So yeah, and I was trying to texting you, but you were super busy, like checking out the Ibanez Italy booth and stuff like that. So
that's all I did. Just sat there and waited for people to recognize me.
Yeah.
It's a me.
Look, it's the geek. It's a me at the geek.
Yeah. So, I firstly I applaud you for getting your daughter into music so early, and being, as I'm sure, very patient and very encouraging, and very proud and very what's the word? Yeah, I think patient is the word. I think I nailed it the first time.
All right.
Oh, for the audio listeners, Dan's just brushing the dust off his shoulders there. Welcome, audio listeners, and welcome to the people in the live version on the video. Hello.
Ooh,
so I went to Italy, Dan, which I did have some photos queued up, but they're not working. So I think that's what crashed the system. I tried to bring it in from the iPhone, and you know how things are.
But tell me more. How was it? I think that was like the first European guitar show after a like 18 to 20-month hiatus, right?
I believe so. Yeah. I had an absolutely fantastic time. I went with our friend and colleague. Yeah, go on then. Our friend and person we tolerate, Henning, and also Jens. And Jens is a new friend. They came down to Austria. We drove down from Wels to Italy. Then we had a very romantic day in Venice, on which I did various things. I don't want to give away too much because there are various videos coming out, but some stuff on a gondola that was fun. And yes, I also bought this T-shirt. Anton's asking.
It's
I am
amazing.
Mando the Hunter. Look at that.
I love that. That's amazing.
There he is. And believe it or not, Henning found that.
Oh, wow.
The only shop we had to queue to get in, because they had a maximum of 2 people, was a T-shirt shop. So everywhere else was like open, and there was a T-shirt shop. And I got told off for walking in, and they said, "Hey, there's a queue here." Because they were all Italian Americans. And is that an Ewok next to? I don't know.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. Huh. I like those kind of mashups. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so Henning found that, and it was 3 for €30. So I bought one of these and a couple of others, which I might be unveiling soon.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was good. So I went to Venice to buy T-shirts.
Yeah.
Did loads of stuff. The Venice. Then the guitar show was just not as big as one is used to. We walked in and thought, oh, okay. But then when you realize when you get into it, you think, okay, there's actually quite a lot here. A lot of cool stuff. So many great interviews, videos coming up, photos. Yeah, I saw some amazing guitars. And a quick tip for everybody, look at Italian custom-built guitars because they're insanely cheap.
Yep.
Insanely cheap. The guitar that I fell in love with was... So, hang on, let me preface that by saying, remember, it's custom shop, okay? It's not Squier, it's not anything like that, it's not Harley Benton. It was €1,600 for An unbelievably beautiful guitar. It should be double.
What was the brand called?
Blackbeard Guitars. And don't anybody go and search them now. Don't anybody go and buy their guitars because I want one before they put the prices up.
So Andy's now in the consulting business.
Yeah, Well, we were consulting them to increase their prices.
Andy doing a favor to everyone within the fan base.
Yeah.
Hey, I just made him double the price. Great. No. Due to it's if you think it's good quality, I think they're suffering from the economic crisis and everything in Italy kind of being a little bit,
I don't know. They just say they can't sell outside of Italy, but I think it's the language barrier. So
yeah, definitely.
I don't know. But what I will say is there's some, as I said before, and I'll say it again, there was some great videos coming up. And there was some football that played as well. And I made it live, of course, because I'm here now back in Austria.
Oh, yeah.
It was touch and go. I did have a little disagreement with the young man who decided to be a bit drunk and shout at the waiting staff, which I didn't think was very nice. So I asked him to remain calm. It's only a game. Also, England were winning at the time, so I was quite good. But yeah, okay. That's the news without really doing the news, I guess. We don't have a sponsor, but you know, imagine we do. It could be you. If you want to sponsor the show, let us know, and we'll talk about it. We'll think about it. Depends what it is. Show me the money.
Your logo could be here.
Hang on, I'm really bad at this. I have to face there. Oh no, Dan.
Yeah. There. Hey.
That's weird. Okay, well, in that case, we got some news, I guess. News of the week, news of the week, news of the week. That's the little jingle. Fender are opening an office in London.
Tell me more.
Well, Fender are opening an office in London.
Like, is it just like an office? Like in the office?
It's not really an office. It is an office, I guess, but it's they said that their new artist showroom at 22 Endell Street will play a central role in our expansion throughout the UK and EMEA as we look to support both artists and a new generation of players entering the guitar market. The Fender Artist Showroom will not only be a destination for artists from all over the world, but also an innovative and productive working space for our London colleagues.
Awesome. I'm sorry. I was completely like in the chat at the moment and didn't even listen to you because everyone is kind of making fun of you sounding like a robot. Domo arigato. You sound like you're in the phone booth right there in the picture.
Oh, I have no idea why. I mean, I've just updated. We're using Ecamm Live, which we've had some issues with. Hang on. Is that it? I think I might have fixed it.
Yeah, what was it?
It had the audio in there twice. I don't know how or why. I don't know how it's possible, but it did.
Oh, yeah, you're harmonizing yourself. You can do everything, Andy.
Yeah, well, I kind of need you as well.
I'm just imagining like a show with like the little ball on the left side and the little ball on the right side, and it's both Andy. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be nice. Yeah, I'm sure my mum would enjoy that.
The circle of love. All right. Okay. Can you say again? Is it like a showroom? Is it like an office? What's the mixture?
I mean, it's brand new news as of today. That's why it's called news. So I don't have really that many details. But for some reason, they're setting up a artist showroom in the UK, and so it's Europe, Middle East, and Africa (EMEA) operations, which is an odd move, being that London is not in the European Union anymore. What's your thoughts, Dan?
From a branding perspective, I think it's a smart move because like the UK and especially London is like one of these cities when it comes to music trends. And I think artists kind of fancy to live like live and play on the streets of London. So yeah, that makes sense. But like you just said, being outside the EU from a logistical standpoint and everything that is related to the business itself, I don't really see it like being beneficial for them. So yeah, maybe it's just like a branding kind of thing. and oversee the market.
The other office for Fender was in East Grinstead, which I've been to a few times. It is, no offense, East Grinsteadians, but it's not the sort of place you want to go to more than a few times. I didn't fall in love with it.
Okay.
But it is quite close to London and quite convenient. But now they've got one in London. I don't know if it's going to be as close to Big Ben and that tower as I've made out in that photo, but maybe.
Yeah.
But,
I think Gibson, they have several showrooms too, like in Amsterdam and also in London, if I'm not mistaken. Nashville just recently opened, so...
Yeah, well, business is good, man, so why not expand?
Yeah. No. Maybe they have to have some expenses too. After selling more guitars than ever.
I wonder if that means they're going to get tax paid into Britain. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Let's not go into that. That's far above my capability right now. I am still so tired from being in Italy, so forgive me if I'm a bit quirky tonight.
Oh, by the way, did you have some good Italian food?
Kind of.
What's kind of? You're laughing. Why is that?
Henning, Jens, and I have an amazing skill.
Okay.
We went to Venice, and we were walking for quite some time, walking past various coffee shops, and you know, Jens really wanted to. He's now called Two Coffee Jens, by the way, because he always orders two coffees.
Okay.
Always. Two hands, two coffees. And we sat down at this one cafe that Jens sort of said, that looks nice. And we all agreed, yes, that looks very nice. We sat down and it was run by some Japanese people.
Okay.
So we had Japanese coffee in Venice, which was very nice and very affordable and perfectly Italian, but not, you know, what you'd expect having in Venice.
Yeah.
And then we carried on walking, did all the stuff of the day, wanted to eat. And Henning said, that looks a typically Italian restaurant. And we said, yes, it does. So we sat down, and that was run by some Chinese people. And so, incidentally, the food was phenomenal. Absolutely no complaints about anything. But we seem to have discovered a way of eating Asian Italian food. And we had to ask, you know, where are you guys from? Because we're now, you know, this is a skill. So I can confirm that's what we did.
All right.
We were going to go and try and get a Korean ice cream, but we messed up there. But yeah, so no, I mean, yes, I did have Italian food, but also no, I did not. So it depends how you look at it.
Yeah.
It was just very funny.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a good story to tell.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah.
And the gondolier was awesome. The gondolier, his name was Alberto. And
Sure.
we're trying to convince him to open up a YouTube channel with a GoPro on the gondolier. I think that'd be amazing.
Oh, yeah. That would be cool. Like you've got like the trains that go on the rails, and you can watch that all day.
No one else is doing it.
Yeah.
And yes, it is tiring being with Henning for 4.5 days. He and I have never spent that much time together. Normally, we're both off doing different things, but my goodness. You got to love him to spend that much time with him. Man, I do. All right, let's do some picks of the week. We've got Jason joining us very soon. I'm intrigued to know Dan's picks. I'm lying. I know what they are already, but
Okay.
You guys don't. Are you ready, Dan, for your picks?
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Do you want a little song?
Yeah, please. I love it.
Then. Here you are.
Dance, pick up the week. Dance, pick up the week.
Oh, you bring out the glitter at the very beginning. Oh yeah. Actually, did we fight over who picks that one? No, I think
We almost did last week because it was leaked last week.
Yeah.
Well, it's your pick. I'll let you talk about it. Sorry.
Yeah, you actually forbid me to kind of talk about it, right? You said like, maybe not.
Forbid is a strong
Yeah.
word, Dan. I only use the words
Yeah.
forbid when you're talking about Ibanez.
You said like, we might save that up for next week. And now here it is, J Mascis. Oh, there you go.
Sorry, I said it.
You actually missed it like for the first time when I said Ibanez.
Oh, bugger. Hang on. There you go. Done it. Right.
Thank you.
Come on.
All
Enough
right,
having.
yeah.
Stop having fun. Let's be informational.
All right. Okay. The J Mascis Telecaster. Actually, a guitar that I prefer much more over the previous Mascis iterations, because I'm like quite contrary to you, not the biggest like offset fan, and so I'm digging the Telecaster that they just announced. It's the signature model, like based on I think a refinished 58 Tele that he's playing, and I think there were a couple images also floating around in the web. What I really like about that is that it comes with a mixture between like the glitter and that, what's a finish called, Bottle Rocket Blue Flake finish. That's a name that could be like an Ibanez name, like finish name. Bottle Rocket Blue Flake finish. I like it. Thank you. And that is actually married to a road worn maple neck, and that looks pretty cool. So you got all the like the bling from the body, and then the neck kind of is already like worn in, and hopefully feels that way too. So I'm really digging that. It also comes with a pair of custom Mascis like signature pickups, which is always a nice treat if it's not like stock pickups. And I think the retail is around $1,400. So I think it's a very good package, and that will be available in August. So that might be the Telecaster to go after if you're into like traditional shapes, but you want a little bit of, X factor to your guitar. What do you think about it, Andy?
I feel offended that you even ask. It's a Fender. It's glittery. It's road worn. I love it. I
also
love Tellies. I have the Mascis Squier.
I forgot.
Jazzmaster. I've bought that guitar 3 times. That's how much I love it, and then realized that I don't ever use it because I don't know why I don't use it. But this time it's here to stay.
Okay.
I love it a lot. So, and I dig that. I love sparkle finishes. I love Telecasters. I just want to know what the neck profile is. If it's a big old fat chunky neck, then I'm sold. But I really don't know. But yeah. However, there's some other Fender style guitars that I'm kind of looking at the moment. So maybe we'll talk about them in a moment. We don't know. Maybe
Good idea.
we won't.
Are you a fan of the mirrored chrome pickguard?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There's nothing I don't like about that guitar. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
I'm just wondering, like the more I look at it, the more I'm a little bit tired of the overall appearance. Like it's kind of, I don't know. I dig it to some degree, but that effect of kind of being attracted to it it could kind of wear out a little bit over time. And I'm not saying that to like make a pun of road worn. It's just something might be a little bit too much for my preference, but just my personal taste. Yeah.
It is funny that the body's not road worn, but the neck is. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know, dude. Okay. Have you got any other picks? Oh, we've got some more photos of that, I think.
Yeah. We can take a closer look.
There we go. There's the full body shot.
Yeah. It looks good, like no question about it. It might be like the contrast between the relict neck and the kind of perfectly fine finish. But on the other hand, I've never seen a kind of glittery, flaky body that has been relict and it looked kind of nice,
Oh, I have. I've seen a
few.
Have? I've seen a couple of Fenders.
Okay.
And I want to say, I can't remember, but some other brand that was making a Fender style guitar, and it was also relict. Several layers of glitter, actually, several different colored layers. It looked amazing. But there was a Fender Atonement, which was red sparkle over sunburst.
All right. Okay.
It was glorious, absolutely glorious.
Cool.
A Strat. I quite like the back of this as well, but that looks like a big neck to me. I could be wrong, and I know that Mascis kind of likes big necks. Sarang just confirmed that in the chat. Thanks, Sarang. I'm hoping.
Are you like, how high is the likelihood that this guitar will pop up on your channel? From 0 to 10?
6, 7.
Okay.
I don't know. Fender and I are working together quite a lot. Oh, I'm slurring my words already. Sorry. Fender and I are working together quite a lot.
Still the fallout after the lost final.
Yes. I'm drunk on Italian Asian food. Yeah, I'd love to have it. I don't know if I would push to get it on the channel, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Yeah, I totally understand.
Mainly because I don't know how many people watching would also want to buy it. And as a business move, purely as a business move, I don't know how many people would be interested.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you want to talk about your other pick?
Yeah, please.
Let's move on then.
What
We've
else?
got your next one.
Yeah. Oh, that's a controversial one, right?
Yeah, a pink Silver Sky. What color pink is that, Dan?
It's called Roxy Pink, and yeah, I think that's the guitar you've seen in the video, Last Train Home, and I've seen quite a few people like completely freak out about that. I've watched the video of Tomo Fujita. It's a hilarious video, by the way. I shared that with Andy, and you got to watch it until the end. Like he's queuing up all 4 guitars and puts a capo on the neck in different positions. So he gets the 1, the 4, and the 5, and he's kind of making songs from that. It's like he's a genius, and he's so entertaining. And I think like John Mayer kind of gifted him one of the new Roxy Pink models. And actually, there's not a lot to add to the discussion because it's like every other Silver Sky with a roasted fretboard that we've seen so far. I think the only difference is just like the fancy colored finish. So it's super 80s. It's kind of in line with all that kind of sub rock thing that John's management is building up right now. So you can't argue about anything. And like personally, I like it. Would I play it? No, because I'm not the biggest fan of like the haptics of the guitar itself. But, and here's the big like question mark from my side, why didn't they come up with like the Surprise SE in that special color to kind of have a bang for the introduction of the budget SE line? And we've already discussed about the rumors from PT Cord kind of introducing the guitar. And also on the other hand, like from a like managerial standpoint, it would have been a nice means to kind of measure what is the potential for this guitar, because like the Roxy Pink finish is not like, it's not a color that you would sell in hundreds and thousands. Probably not, but you could probably get an estimate from the demand for that guitar, what the demand for a, I don't know, green or black one would be. So it would have been a nice like move to kind of tip their toe into the budget line, but instead they kind of released it as a high-end model, and you don't kind of fool around with 2,700 euros. Understand what I'm trying to say? It's kind of if it's a budget guitar, it could also be a nice gimmick for a player that wants a fancy looking guitar and likes John Mayer. But if we're talking about more than 2.5 grand, they kind of limit themselves and the potential customers. But I mean, John's fan base is big, so they'll probably sell enough of the Silver Skies, even in a polarizing color like the Roxy Pink.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's been a long time since I played a Silver Sky.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, when I played it was 2018, and
Mm-hmm.
it was when they were just released, and at TGU, in fact, and we were among the first to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was caught up in the hype, and dare not say that it wasn't good. I was quite in awe of it, and it sounded beautiful through what I was playing it through, whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember not liking the radius. It was 7 1/4, and I don't know. I just didn't gel with it. And I think that if they had that at 9.5, I would be all over it. I know that a 7 1/4 is okay these days, and people argue that that's fine. But I really do like a minimum 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
What a geek. But I like that color. I like the color. It's no longer a shock to me. But is it, I don't know. I would rather buy a used one in another color if I was going to buy one. I wouldn't want to spend 2.7 or whatever it is on that.
Yeah.
Or I'd buy an SE in a flash. That sounds like a great idea.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. And it's funny that we haven't even talked about that, but we shared the same like impression from the guitar. I think that the pickups, they're voiced great. Like they sound like nothing else, and they have a very bright range of tones they can deliver. But like when it comes to the actual haptics and how it feels, I just didn't like kind of gravitate towards that particular radius and that particular neck. There were,
Sure.
especially at TGU, other guitars that were much more pleasing for my preferences. So yeah. But bottom line, SE version, please give it to us.
Yeah. Give it to
Yeah.
us, Johnny. Ian Johnston, who's in the chat, will you please behave? I'm not putting that on the screen, but please behave. Terrible behavior. All right, well, I've got a few picks this week. So, Dan, if you don't mind, I'd like to move on, and then we can buy, borrow, or burn some stuff.
Oh, yeah, please.
Andy's pick of the week.
My pick of the week. It is another Fender, the new Jag-Stang, the Kurt Cobain signature guitar, which is controversial at the best of times and a crap guitar at the worst of times. I had one recently. I bought it and I sold it because it's one of those guitars I wanted to have, and I'm not in the position to have stuff that I want. I'm in the position to have stuff that I need.
Mm-hmm.
However, now that they are re-releasing it, and yes, Valeria just pointed out, what is it, Fender Week? I'm really sorry, and Dan and I had this conversation.
Yeah,
but it just happens to be, what's in the news and what our picks are. We can't influence that. I really like the look of the new one. It's going to be made in Mexico. On screen now, if you're watching, is a comparison between the original, which is on the bottom, and the new one, which is on the top. And someone on a Facebook group made this, and I would love to credit them, but I've forgotten who posted it before I saved the screen. So there was a lot of, in the original version, controversy over the lower horn being the wrong shape to Kurt's drawing, and on the new version, they've fixed that. Also, they've pre-aged the pickguard, because nobody likes a purloined white pickguard, do they, Dan?
No,
nobody. And it says the
you can't
switches
just
are close.
Yeah, you can't start like smoking over a new guitar that you want to look like old.
No.
There's just no point in doing that. Yeah.
Also,
it looks great.
The control plate looks slightly different. The knobs look slightly different. Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum is here trying to scarf some of our viewers off to his channel, and he kind of wants one. And you know what, Ryan? I think you should have one. I think I should have one as well. I think the whole world should have one. And I don't know. Let's take a look. I've got some more pictures just here. Sonic Red, just there.
Is that like an original color?
Yeah. So the originals came out in Sonic Red and what's it? Fiesta Red. Excuse me, and Sonic Blue.
Okay.
So that's Fiesta Red, and I think it looks great.
Yeah.
Sanifar has brought up a very interesting point. The pickup covers are not aged. Good point.
All right, I'm off buying some cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. Just hire someone to smoke over that. No, that's a terrible idea. Buy some coffee and throw it at the guitar. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
Buy
Great
some coffee in Venice. It's quite affordable. And then we've got the Sonic Blue as well, which when I bought mine was the Sonic Blue from 1996, I think, or 7. And I prefer the red one, but the blue one was the one I always wanted and coveted when I was a teen.
All right,
but
okay.
in this case, I think I would get the Fiesta Red version. And then I think I would actually play it.
Fair enough. I mean, I think both colors are great. My question actually was targeting towards whether, like, what his preferred color was when he was playing live, and because I'm not too much.
The blue one. I mean, he
Blue one?
only used it a few times, if only once. And that's why I said it was controversial. Lots of people said he hated the guitar and didn't like it. And will we ever know? We don't know. But I want to say thank you to Jason Carter, who's just sent us a €10 super chat for coffee and for teaching him a new word today, Jag-Stang. You're welcome, Jason.
Nice.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert on Kurt, but I'm a massive fan, and there's lots of misinformation out there. The only truth is that we'll never really know.
So, but just potentially, like he could be sitting on cloud number 278, like just watching us and watching the people at Fender, and kind of being very, very annoyed by them pushing a signature guitar that he never actually liked.
Don't
Right?
know, dude. I don't know.
Okay.
Ryan says he'd go with the blue, and I hate Ryan a little bit for that because I might need to get both because I don't know.
Oh boy, you need a Fender subscription. You got to talk with those guys to kind of get like a subscription model.
If only there was some direct line that I had.
Yeah. Like you pay a flat fee, and then every month you get a new guitar to pick.
Yeah, sorry, I've just got Jason's just messaging me. There's a few issues with him being backstage. Click join, Jason. Yeah, Steve from 60 Cycle Hum, the more professional, better looking side of 60 Cycle Hum, has an older red one. I didn't know that. Jason's just joined us in the green room. He's not live yet, so I'm double excited to talk to him. And we've got a few picks of the week, Jason. We're just talking about some gear, and then we'll bring you. In fact, we could bring in Jason for this because I know he's an Offset fan.
Oh yeah, he would resonate with that one. Yeah, for sure.
By the way of nodding, Jason, because the people can't see, would you like to come in and talk about the Offset Jag-Stang? He's just adjusting his chair. I'm going to bring him in, I think. Oh, he didn't have his headphones in. He's taking them out now. Oh, my goodness. It's all going wrong. In that case, we'll just move on to the next guitars, which I think Jason might want to come into. He's now got headphones in. Can you hear us, Jason? I don't think you can. Anyway, I'll move on to my next pick, which is, Valeria's going to love it, the new Squier Paranormal range. So yes, it truly is a Fender week this week.
Whenever you say a Fender, I'm kind of like giggling like a little child because of that old joke, where the wife is in front of the court and asking, because she killed her husband with a guitar, and the judge says first offender, and she said no, not a Fender, a Gibson.
Then a Fender.
Not first offender, yeah. Not a Fender, a Gibson, yeah. I'm bad at telling jokes, but I still.
Well, that wasn't too bad. I've been with Henning all weekend.
So going back to Paranormal series.
Go back to Paranormal.
Is that the big FU to all the scalpers that kind of were trying to increase prices on the used market, like secondary market?
I don't know, but I have 2 of the Paranormal series that's released 2020. So I have the Baritone Telly and the what's it called? I've just pulled my headphone cable out. Now I can't hear you.
Oh wow, this is going super smooth this week.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Why can't I remember? Supersonic. My goodness, sorry. Brain is off this week. Yeah, so I've got the Supersonic in that blue, the frosty one, but now they've released it in the sparkle. So there's a Coronado as well. A Tornado, sorry.
Nice one.
Then we've got the Tornado in Sunburst, which I don't know which one I prefer. Then we've got a Shell Pink Supersonic, which is going to fly off the shelves, off the guitar shelves.
Is that true? Is that true? Because I think that's like, for my personal taste, like the ugliest shape.
That's only my opinion. I don't know if it's true because it's just my opinion, but I think that's going to fly because Shell Pink is very in at the moment, and it's going to be about €400-ish.
Oh, okay.
Then we've got the original Sparkle Blue, Dan, which, as you said, is very similar to the J Mascis.
Yep. Reminds me a lot of that.
So that's the one of the original colors that was released in. So that's very coveted.
Yeah.
What else we got? The Offset Telly, also in Shell Pink. Then we've got one in Natural as well, the Offset Telly. Then we've got a Cyclone in Pearl White, a Cyclone in Candy Apple Red, which I think looks stunning.
Yeah.
What else? The Baritone Carbonita Telly in Surf Green, the Baritone Carbonita Telly in 3-tone Sunburst.
Okay.
And then a Thin Line as well. And then I got a little picture. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm having a moment. We've got pressing buttons. Got a thin line in blue and a thin line in sunburst, and I think that thin line in sunburst, which possibly has P90s and a gold pick guard, is stunning.
Is it like anodized metal kind of pick
Looks
guard?
like it, and anodized
Yeah,
aluminum.
that's pretty cool. That's
Let's
pretty
just
cool.
chat with Jason. Jason, can you hear us now? Is he listening to music? He seems to be having a good time. Yeah, you can. Okay, great. Jason, I'm going to add you in a second. Great. Okay. Okay, he's not listening to music. This is brilliant. I'm having a great time. And then, go away, all you tellies. There we go. So let's go and buy and borrow and burn some stuff.
Like, just wait a sec. Just from those three
Wait,
guitars, you would pick the Sonic, like the Supersonic?
Good question, Dan. I have a Supersonic already.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that shell pink offset telly, the Telemaster, as we call it. I have a baritone carbonator telly, which is amazing. I don't know, man. I think I don't know. I don't know.
Break Andy. Andy's breaking. Oh my god.
It's just too much awesome. Too much awesome.
Yeah.
I can't decide. It's kind of like, yeah. I'm not drunk, Valeria. She's accusing me of being drunk. I'm just bloody tired and half drunk.
You know what? Just like three thoughts on these guitars. Like the left
Go
one, I'm digging the scratch bit. I think the pickguard, like the Perloid pickguard, would look great on the Mascis too, and would kind of add a little bit of or remove some of the stark contrast between like the road worn neck and the flaky body. So I'm digging that combination, but I'm not digging the shape. The Cabronita looks a lot like the Greg Koch Gristlemaster. So it gives me same vibes. But when it comes like to the pure like sleekness of the instrument, and I'm not an offset fan, but I would go with the golden middle and pick up the shell pink. How do you call it? Telemaster, like the offset telly
is the official.
Yeah. I'm kind of digging that the most. Yeah.
All right then. We've already got a few people buying and borrowing and burning, but I want to hear the song.
Buy, borrow, or burn.
Who goes first?
I've forgotten what we talked about. I'm too drunk. So I'm drunk on life, drunk on Squiers. Let's put some stuff on the screen. So Sarang would buy the offset telly in pink, borrow the J Mascis telly, and burn the PRS. Ouch.
All right.
Okay, what else we got? Give us your picks, everybody. There's some have come up. There it is. Someone wanted Fergie in France wants to November 5th the lot. So there's a big bonfire for everything we've chosen this week. He's not happy with our choices. Apologies, Fergie in France, and to SJ as well. Michael, there we go. Buy the Jag-Stang and Fiesta Red, burn the telly, borrow the vintage or custom strap from the Fender office, and ignore the Silver Sky.
Ignore the Silver Sky. That's very interesting.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I
think that's the worst.
Burn them all. Ouch.
Yeah. I mean, burning the Silver Sky is at least something that's kind of making some emotions, creating some emotions. But just ignoring it, that's sad. That's sad.
Okay. I've got a decision. I think.
Okay.
I'm going to choose myself this week because I'm too drunk on sleep to choose for you. I'm going to buy the Jag-Stang, but I'm going to buy both of them because I can't decide on the color.
Okay.
Can I do that?
Sure.
Thanks. I'm going to borrow the offset telly in pink.
Okay.
And I'm going to burn the PRS. Boom.
He said
okay,
it.
Dan, what would you do?
Okay. Do a sec. Probably. I would buy the Mascis and remove the pickguard instantly. I would.
Can I have the pickguard?
Borrow. Yeah, sure.
Great, thanks.
Yeah. Borrow the offset Tele just to give it a shot, and burn the PRS, but try the PRS SE instead. Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah, I kind of like the guitar, but it's giving me the least like positive vibes from all the entries that we had today. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. So
Yeah.
people are not happy with our picks this week. Valeria is
Yeah.
saving money this week. She's not tempted to buy anything. Burn them all. My goodness, what a violence we have this week. Lots of burning. Jesse wants to buy the J Mascis, borrow the Tele MP91, and burn that damn Silver Sky. My goodness.
So much Silver Sky hate. Come on, what's wrong, guys?
I just think we've seen it all. We're too tired. We want the SE now. Oh, and Jason's commented. Jason would burn the what? Right. Jason may be in the green room, but he might not be on the show. Burn the Jag-Stang and Silver Sky. My goodness. Right, he and I are going to have a serious conversation in a moment. Dan, you may need to leave and protect Jason. On that, I would really love to bring in our guest. So I'm going to attempt to do it in a smooth, sensible, and non-violent way. There he is. Hello, Jason.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm fan of.
Oh, your audio seems to be popping in and out. Is that Dan? Is that everybody? Or is it just Jason?
Yep. No. I think it's just him, right?
Apologies, Jason, but your audio seems to be going in and out and in and out.
How about
improved.
now?
Yeah, it's much improved.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But now we've got some echo. Wait a sec, please, Jason. Now we've got some echo. I can still hear some Andy echo.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Let me.
Yeah, that's what you get for burning a Jag-Stang, everybody. Crappy internet connection. What have we got at the back? He's got a Jazzmaster ukulele. A Superfly poster. Hell yes. And is that a Silverface Princeton?
Deluxe.
Deluxe.
Trying to turn off this fan to get the echo. There we go. All right. Is that better?
That is far superior.
Much better.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just not a fan of the Jag-Stang. Like, don't. I know everybody loves it. And I was just like, maybe it's because it's not symmetrical. I don't know.
I mean, you're entitled to opinion, of course. Everybody's entitled to opinion. I'm more upset about the fact that I would assume that you would like it, which means that I'm wrong about you, and I genuinely don't know you, which is exciting, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's funny because Tia and I the other day we got in our group chat and we were talking about the Jag-Stang and the Jarman, and I was like, well, I don't really like that color on the Jarman, but I don't like the Jag-Stang. So we did this whole poll thing, and yeah, she likes the Jag-Stang. I was just like, that's the only offset that I'm just like not a fan of.
Huh. Interesting.
Well, I guess welcome to the show.
Introductions.
Lightning introduction. If you don't know who Jason is, then you should, because on behalf of Dan and I'm going to say that you have one of the most exciting guitar YouTube channels out there at the moment. I love pretty much everything you do, and in this conversation tonight, as I said in the video description, I want to find out how you do it, distill that, bottle it, and keep it to myself.
I was going to say, if you sell it, just cut me in on the marketing.
Yeah, I'll buy you a Jag-Stang.
Yeah, I'll take that. Oh man, but thank you guys for having me. Tia would be here, but she's at work at the moment.
Oh, right. Okay.
Gotta save those pennies.
Mm-hmm.
Jag-Stangs don't buy themselves. I can still hear an echo from you, Jason. Are you got something coming through the speakers?
No, just headphones. I think
Wow.
it might be the speaker mic.
Yeah,
how-
yeah, it's kind of picking it up.
How
But
loud
the
am I?
the Sarang and the others are telling us it's all good, so I think like the ECAM signal should be fine.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. Absolutely, yes, I am going to steal your content. There's something about your videos, your channels, but when I say you, I mean you and Tia, of course, and the team that you're working with. It just seems like so much fun. I want to be in that room with you guys, and that's
Dude, we'd love to have you with us. Like, if you're ever
One
over
day.
here in the States.
In fact, where are you based? Just so I can find out when I do come over.
Oh, we're in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
All right.
So it's like it's pretty hot here.
How hot is it?
Um, let's see what the weather is today.
Oh, I can tell you. Hang on. It says 27 degrees Celsius. Wind south at 13 kilometers per hour and 65% humidity. I don't believe
Doesn't
that.
sound too bad.
It's not too bad, but yeah, it's okay. It's just, I guess for me, because in the past I was used to living by the beach, so there was the wind.
Right.
Now it's just like stagnant hot.
Okay.
Oh, I see. I see where you're from. Okay. Chattanooga.
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Chattahoochee.
You're
National Park.
based in Chattanooga?
No. We're like
No.
an hour away, maybe
All right.
from
Yeah.
Chattanooga. Yeah, like
Chattanooga
we're like an hour.
seems like halfway between you guys and Nashville.
Yep.
All right.
It's I should know this because I've driven through there many times.
Well, yeah, I'll put it on the list for when I do come stateside when things go that way. But really, to the people listening and watching, if you haven't seen Jason and Tia's videos, go and watch them after this has finished. There's a lot of work going into what you do, and I truly appreciate the effort that you guys are putting in. But at the same time, you seem to be having a whale of a time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
give us a backstory, man. Give us some story.
Okay, story time. So basically, about a year or two ago, like, because T and I, we met at a music store, and we've just been friends. And I guess it was like 2019, fall of 2019. We always had this idea of just like, hey, we should like do a YouTube channel together because she's just phenomenal at guitar, and it was just one of those things that we kept talking about in passing. And then during the pandemic, we were kind of just like, hey, after things calmed down a little bit, we should try this because we had our team, our bunch of mutual friends. We all, well, 3/4 of us worked at the same music store, or so it was just like, oh yeah, well, we'll create something together. And the goal more so behind it was we kept seeing on YouTube, we were like, man, this is cool and all. Like, there's a lot of cool channels and there's a lot of personalities, but we want to do something more so for people of color and more inclusive, and to kind of, bring that about. But we're also like big pop culture nerds, and we're also like, we love comedy. And the thing is, we didn't want to approach the channel in the sense of let's just be super serious. Here's my guitar, because it's like, we're not serious people. Like, we like to have fun, and like, we wanted the vibe of you're in the room with us, and we wanted to do something a bit different. Like, like I said, we saw what was out there, and we were like, what can we do that's a bit different and something that people would enjoy, or hope that people would enjoy? Because I was like, man, there's been a couple of videos where I've just been like, oh, I don't know if it's like, I like this, but I don't know if anybody else is gonna like this. so
Yeah.
it's just been that. And I think the secret sauce too, our producer, he is completely producer slash editor. He wears every hat behind the scenes. He is not a musician and not from the gear world, so he has a different perspective, and like he'll edit a video in the mindset of how can I get someone that isn't a part of the gear world to watch this and find it entertaining. So yeah, that's pretty much. Sorry.
That would directly kind of be linked to one of the questions that pop up when I was checking the channel. Like, you kind of use a lot of effects, like visual effects, on the channel. Is that something that you decided on, or was it something that your editor slash producer kind of thought would be a nice idea?
The editor, like it was totally Nelson's idea, and like that, like, because it's we'll sit down and we'll discuss like which references and whatnot, but we mainly leave him to his own devices and let him do his own thing. We'll critique afterwards before we post it, and we just let him do his own thing. And it's just like, there was, like, for instance, last night there was a clip he sent over, and I don't know if it's going to get cleared, mainly because I got to clear it with someone else beforehand. And like, the way he phrased it, I was like, oh man, this is going to be the one where we get like our channel suspended or something. And then I saw it and I was like, you know what? I was like, we'll clear it with that person and then let's do it. So it's really just been, as far as the editing, it's really just him. Like, he decides a lot of it. Like he comes from a very, very pop culture world, which isn't bad. I actually like that, because I think it kind of helps us be a little bit more distinct.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely are distinct, and I think that's one of the reasons. As I said, I don't know what it is you do. There's many different elements to what you do as a team. And it does grab my attention. It entertains me. It makes me laugh. But also, I can feel the love that you guys have for each other. And that's extremely important for me when watching two people. If there's a chemistry, and then, as I said already, I want to be in that room. And you've said that's the aim, and it absolutely works. And looking at the comments in the chat right now, there's a lot of love going up for you guys. And Sarang has said that the effects in the video clips take the production quality way up. Feels like something on Netflix or something.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I got to screenshot that and send that to Nelson, because he'd love that comment. But like, thank you. Like, that's kind of what we aim for, because it's one of those things of, especially since he's outside of the music world in that sense. And then not only that, Tia and myself are a lot alike in terms of the gear that we like, but at the same time, we're very different. So, but at the same time, like, there is a lot of love between all of us. And that's the one thing I'm super grateful for, because it's never like, every time we do a video, it's like we're hanging out. And that's the main thing that I think, I think that we try to capture, is just like, hey, we're a bunch of people hanging out. Like, I'm super thankful for Tia, like, because she is phenomenal, and I didn't realize how much we complement each other. And like, it's cool, because I'm like, she's a super shredder, and I'm just over here like, oh, okay, I can do a few chords, and like, but like, it is a lot of love, and it's slowly turning into a team of my best friends. And the thing that I really like about it is, like, some of the outside guests that we've been able to incorporate have just been from our friend group. And like, Justin, who did the Starcaster episode, like, I work with him, and I was like, hey dude, you want to install some pickups? And he was just like, yeah. I was like, okay, we're gonna film this, and I don't know how it's gonna go.
I gotta say, I gotta jump in. I said, I love that. I've seen that video, and I love that video where he's installing the pickups in super fast forward speed, and you're just sat there, just kind of looking, just waiting.
Oh yeah. Well, that was the thing, because we didn't know how long it was going to take, and I was just like, all right, well, it's not going to take this long. And then I was like, oh crap, we have 2 more videos to film that day. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. What can I do? And like, I was just like, make conversation. And then we tried to, and then I think we watched it and we were just like, yeah, let's just speed this up.
It made it so much better because it was really funny.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got a question from Sarang actually, Jason. What was the inspiration behind the name?
Well, that's so the inspiration behind the name was more so due to Tia, because we had already filmed the first video and we didn't have a name. So we were just like, we were trying to come up with different names, and we wanted something that would feel inclusive to everybody, so that when you saw the channel, it's like, hey, obviously we're not blues lawyers playing like, $8,000, $10,000 Gibsons, and it's just
Yeah.
like, we wanted something that everybody could feel a part of, because really at the end of the day, like, what's one of the things that has been very important for us is having people feel like, hey, these are my friends and they're just showing me this gear that they really like. So we were just like, hey, we're kind of the working class, and especially in America, and it's just like we're kind of broke, so working class music. So that's really the story behind the name. I forget the list of names that we have, and we'll probably, if I find it, we'll post it somewhere. But some of them were just like god awful. And I was like, and then, but it was literally like one of those moments where Tia said that, and before that we were going to go with like working class musician, and I was like, let's just do working class music, or working class
Yeah.
musicians, and I was like, let's do working class music because I feel like that rolls off the tongue better.
Yeah, definitely. And I gotta say,
agree.
to me, when Andy showed me the channel, it was like I immediately felt that it's, especially in comparison to a lot of other channels, it feels like the antithesis to a lot of the channels that are out there that are always looking for the next big thing, and they're going further and more expensive and more like extreme when it comes to their choices and what they do. And then you guys are sitting in your basement kind of chatting about the guitars, and everything has got a very raw but also a very real vibe to it, and that's a vibe that I could immediately relate to, instead to some of the super polished high-end stuff.
Well, thank you. No, that's honestly been a huge intention of ours. Like, because literally, the rule of thumb for us is like, one, we want to get, especially now, we want to get back into recommending gear for everyone, like not something, something that everybody can afford, because even though we've done high end stuff, and we've gradually done that, and mainly because some of the relationships that prior to the channel that I've had with some of the companies, and
Mhm.
and they've been awesome for us, but really, like, we just wanted to review gear that everybody can afford, that you're not like, it's one of those things of like, hey, this just came out and that's cool and all, but here's our favorite jazz master at the moment. So it's just like it's kind of just like one of those, because like working in a music store, we see all the new gear come out, and some of it's very exciting and some of it's not, but at the same time it's just like there's a gazillion channels out there, and it's just like we don't want to review something just because it's fresh and new and we don't like it, like, and then fake that we like it, and but just to kind of get the views and likes and whatnot. It's just like, if we don't believe in it, we won't review it.
Yeah, it's a sensible idea regardless of what you're reviewing, but there is, as Dan mentioned, there's a temptation, especially for the larger channels, to chase that dragon of the next big thing. And also when you just, for me, I don't want to feel like I'm trundling along. Hang on, that way. I never know which way this camera is around. Trundling along, doing the same old thing. But I wish I had a partner to work with like you and Tia do. It makes me a little sad, to be quite honest, to watch you guys having so much fun, and I'm like, oh, I wish I had a Tia or a Jason.
Yeah, like, nah, dude, I'm honestly, it's funny because there have been a few episodes where like she was just busy, so I'd have to do it by myself, and I've just been like, man, this would be so much better with Tia. Like, I was like, the dynamic of us as friends, like reviewing a piece of gear, whether because it's always nice to have the dynamic of someone who's played the gear and someone who hasn't. And it's like, since we're friends, we can be honest with each other about it. And for me, I think like she's the secret sauce of the channel. Like she is definitely like the yin to my yang, so to speak, if I made that analogy correct. But but yeah, it's awesome because for me, I would just kind of like freak out and just be like super prepared, and I feel like by myself I could fall into that trap of what everyone else is doing. But with her, it works because we're genuinely friends and like we like the same things, and a lot of the dialogue isn't scripted, so it's really just us in a conversation about things, and I think that's something that you don't see often. And so it's not like, hey, one person said this and then this, and then it's we can include inside jokes, and it's like she's just awesome. Like she's been a person that I'm really grateful to have as my friend and really grateful to have as my co-host. And I could ramble on about how awesome she is, but like I'm really glad that she's there, because like looking at the comments and seeing how people support her and are very supportive of her, it makes me happy, because it's just like, man, like we're figuring out the dynamics of each other, in the sense of like, okay, I can be like the goofier, funnier one, and you can be this one, and it's just like, well, let's throw that out of the window. Let's just be ourselves. So it's cool. Like I really appreciate having her, and like although I know she gets annoyed, like anytime I kind of put her on a spot, like with a pedal, I'm like, hey, you got 30 seconds to play with this before we start filming, and she's just like, okay. And so yeah.
Well, I know she's not here, so I'd love to hear her comments on this, but I get the feeling that you two might either hug at some point, or she's going to smack you in the face. Like it's on the edge, you know?
Oh yeah, it's on the edge. And to be fair, before she got her revenge, I'll say that in the upcoming episode, she got her revenge, and I was put in the seat of never playing a pedal before, never knowing what it sounded like, and it was the Rainbow Machine, and it's like I've never heard that pedal before, and I went out of my way not to hear it or look it up or anything, and she has it, and she was just like, okay, I'm gonna get you. She's like, and it's like, you're not gonna have any playtime with it, and we're just gonna get your live reaction. So. It's
at least you can't do anything wrong with the Rainbow Machine. You can just not understand it.
Yeah. So I learned. I was just like, I think with that, like, there's a couple of things like that, where moments like that where she kind of excels at. Like, I know the Aurora episode, she had that pedal and I didn't, and I tend to not like flangers and such. Well, flangers mainly. I do like phasers and choruses. So it was one of those things of she had to educate me, but in a nice way and not her killing me.
Nice. I just want to clarify something I said earlier, because someone was asking about when I said I wanted a Tia or a Jason. I didn't mean that I don't like doing the podcast with Dan. I mean that Dan and I share roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours a week doing this, and the rest of my entire week I'm on my own. So what I mean is, if it were Dan, I'd like Dan to be in the room with me. Dan, there you are, Dan.
There you go. And Dan seems cool. He seems cool. You guys play off of each other really well.
Yeah, well,
Thanks. Yeah.
We try to annoy each other enough.
See, but that's the thing though. Like I personally like that, because I think there are too many things that kind of seem scripted, and it's just like, okay, we can kind of tell. But like, I remember watching your videos, and I was just like, especially the Supersonic, and just being like, man, Andy really loves this. He's awesome. I want to be friends with that guy.
And here we are.
Yeah, hurry up.
All you had to do was open up a YouTube channel.
That's all it took. That's all it
That's all it
took.
takes. Quite easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I like to think that I can sniff out the imposters, and sadly, some of the what I've just described as imposters are actually people trying to be something in front of the camera. Whereas the real answer, in my opinion, and you definitely have it, is to just sit there and just talk about whatever it is and be honest. And I've seen
Yeah.
so many people waste opportunities, including myself. I've seen videos of myself where I'm trying to be correct and informational and give my opinion, and I'm not. I'm actually trying to be professional, and it turns out that that's not what I'm good at. And
Yeah.
don't
Like
do that.
that's the thing that that's the thing though. I like we've tried to do that like with a couple of the more tech based videos, and we just kind of just decided not to do that anymore because it's just like, all right, we're not Marquise Brownlee. Like that's what he does. We like music stuff and to introduce people to music stuff. And I think for me, like there's a side where yes, I am a big geek. Yes, I do love guitar stuff and I want to incorporate that. But I I've always had the mindset of follow your passion.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
that's why Tia and I and the rest of the team have been very adamant about not choosing gear that we dislike. That we, mainly Tia and I, because it's like, hey, we're the ones on camera that have to review this. So, but it's just choosing what you're passionate about and going that way. And I think it's it's important because there have been videos that I will watch on YouTube and I'm like, all right, I like before the video ends, I'm like, I guarantee I know what this video is going to be like. I know where he's going to go. I know what songs he's going to demo or what style he's going to demo or she.
Mhm.
And it's just like, I'm like, this isn't fun. like, I jokingly, I like to think that we're kind of a mix of Andertons and the Chappelle Show, but with a little bit of Tim and Eric. So
Yeah,
Great
I can
comparison.
see
Yeah.
that melting pot of styles that does come out.
yeah,
Well, I think your shows are quite unpredictable in a sense that it can go off on a tangent, and that's something that I tried to avoid at first, and then I realized that that's just how my brain works. So I lean
with
into that, if anything, and people often respond far more positively when you go with that kind of thing that's actually rattling around your head. And with you guys, including the editing process, it's chaotic in a positive way.
oh, oh no,
Mhm.
and we intend for it to be that way because it's one don't know how political I can get, but I'm going to
Go
dabble a
for it.
little bit into
Yeah, go for it.
um um we know that there aren't a lot of people like us being people of color and in that area. So it's like I would feel like it would be inauthentic of ourselves to not include our interest and try to cater to a demographic that we're not necessarily that I'm not going to say that we're not necessarily a part of, but that that represents one side of us and not us as
Hmm.
a whole. And
Mhm.
the thing about that for me is just like one of the things that I felt very adamant about, and especially when T and I were discussing the channel, is I was like, if we're gonna do the team up thing, like I, early days I was like, yeah, it has to be Tia. One, you know, because I feel like it's important for, especially in the gear community, for women to have representation. Representation as a whole is important to me and Tia, but I felt like all right, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to do it with another dude, and, because it's like there's so many of us dudes out there, and it's just like I want it to be, I want that representation because I know how much it matters to people like us. Like, it means a lot, and it's just like, man, like we want to be the channel that we would want to look for, and to have fun. So it's one of those things which is like, man, I've seen the channels that I like, and I'm like, man, they're super cool when they're doing their own thing, and it's just like, I think that's one of the things that we took, was just do our own thing and stay true to ourselves, and try to include, be inclusive, because we're not blues lawyers, although I try to pretend to be in some videos. We're not, um, but and it's just one of those things that I like, that I like the fact that people have been so accepting of that, because it's one of the things that I think, for us, being true to ourselves is very important, and having that representation is very important. And it's not like we're doing it for any like egocentric reasons of like, oh, we want to be the cool people, and it's just like, hey, this is us, this is something
Mhm.
we like, and this is something we would feel would be cool, that hopefully people like, and they do, and
Mhm.
that's cool.
I'll be
Do you
honest.
feel that?
Sorry,
sorry.
no, please.
No.
Okay, because I'm going to stay political for a while and actually ask some
Yeah.
questions, because I get a little bit sweaty and itchy when people bring up female players or whatever, and people of color, because I genuinely don't know if I'm going to say the wrong thing, or if I'm going to overcompensate for the fact that I'm a white male, and like I was going to say, and even now I feel nervous to say it, that I don't see you as two people of color, um, or a female with Tia. I just see you as some friends having some fun.
And that's what we want. Like, that's what we want. Like, um sorry to cut you off, but like
No, carry on.
that's yeah, that's something that we want, like, because there are people that can see us as just friends, but there'll be people, like, there'll be, brown people, or that'll hit me up, and they'll be like, dude, yo, this is cool, like, it's nice to see people that look like us doing that, and that means the
Sure.
world to me. Um like, it just blows my mind, because I at the core of it, T and I are just two friends enjoying what we're doing, and enjoying the company of each other. And if you or anyone else sees that first, that's then we've succeeded.
Absolutely. I'll let Dan jump in, but I'd love to talk more about that in a second.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was just going right in that same field, because sometimes it can be like a minefield to kind of navigate through when you come up with some sort of like political statement or even intention. So do you find that like limiting from a point of view, if that this is like your thing to kind of represent, let's say, not the average YouTube demo guy or YouTube demo channel, that you're more like I said, like the antithesis to what's already there? Is that something for you, like limiting, or do you get like negative reactions when it comes to that, or is that community or the demand for a channel that is more diverse and more open to for everyone, is that already so big that you get like all the love from the community, and it's kind of growing in a fast pace? Like, what's the reaction about?
Um, Actually, that's a good question. Firstly, I wouldn't say it's limiting, because I would like to think that our gender roles and our skin color don't limit us per se. And I like the mindset of like, because I've said a million times, and I have no problem saying this, and Tia is a way better guitarist than myself, and I'm glad that people haven't been like, oh, she's good for a girl. Like, it's like, no,
Oh.
she's a good
Yeah.
guitarist in general. And
Hmm.
I think, for us, at first, we thought we were going to get pretty flamed when we started the channel, especially since coming out of the Trump era in the United States, where things were very politically, I don't want to say politically sensitive, but it was a very divisive time. And
Hmm.
the thing is, it's just like, I'm glad that our channel is very left leaning, that was something that was very intentional, because especially with everything going on in this country, or it was one of those things of like, hey, I understand some people stay away from politics, but at the end of the day, like, you know, we have no choice to, because it's just like, that's who we are.
Exactly.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I remember when I was first sharing videos of the channel, and in the description I would use, hey, this is, we wanted to be more inclusive of, people of color, and being more inclusive of different genders, and just inclusivity. And I remember there was the typical reactions, which I wasn't surprised by, like more right-leaning reactions of, why you need that? Why are you guys focused on that? And I'm just like, we're not really focused on that. It's just, that's who we are. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're not putting that at the forefront of like, hey, here are two, black people, just, that's the focus of it. It's like, hey, here's two black people with a jazz master, or hey, there's this and that.
Exactly.
It was just more so like, hey, you know, obviously our skin color plays a part into our identity, but at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, there's not a lot of people like us in this field, and we just want something for people like us and everybody else to feel included in. And I think for us, the reaction for the channel overall has been like super positive. Um, I think I think I've been pleasantly surprised that we haven't got, like, honestly, the most negative comments that we've gotten have been about the editing. And some people are like, "Oh yeah, this is just too much," or this and this. And it's just
Okay.
like, look, I'm sorry we're not a typical guitar channel, but we
Yeah.
like humor. So, and
Yeah. Just play
you
the
know,
pedal, or
yeah,
just
just
tell me
play
what it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just tell me what it sounds like. And it's just been weird, because for a while I would wear very politically motivated shirts, and I was like, when we released the video, I was in my head, I was like, someone's going to comment on it, and I just have to brush it off. And no one did, and it was just like, and if people did comment on it, it was always in a positive manner. So for me, this has kind of been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done creatively, because really we just want to make friends, and like not think of ourselves as better than anyone else, or like, oh, we're a YouTuber. It was just like, hey, there's not a lot of people like us doing this. Let's do it, and let's stay true to ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
we understand that we live in a very political time, and that's something that we can't choose to ignore, because it affects us. And the way that I had to explain it to someone, which we had a very good conversation, and it started out, they were asking me questions about the channel, and they had their own opinions, and I was like, look, you like our channel, right? And they were like, yeah. So it's like, you can kind of guess our personalities. And he was like, yeah. And so I was like, if I were in the position of George Floyd, would you think that I did something to, you know, get that done to myself? Like, did I agitate the police to do that to myself? And he was like, no, 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 you're different. I was like, no, no. It was like, that's something that we have to deal with. And that's something that, like, if you can't just say, hey, you can't just look at it this way. And, I feel like it's a lot easier for us to address these things being who we are than it might be for other YouTubers, um, who who um, who will show solidarity, and that means a lot to me. So I think the conversation is a lot easier when you have female representation and people of color represented in the dialogue. That's what I was trying to say.
Well, again, the people in the chat are really enjoying listening to you. And I know that Dan and I rarely stay this quiet when we have a guest on, but it's really interesting to hear someone who is very similar to myself, but in a very different situation.
Yeah.
And whenever we talk, Dan, to our American cousins, I feel that the situation over there is extremely different to what we have over here in Europe. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel privileged to say that I think you guys, and I don't mean people of color, I mean Americans, have a lot more conflict amongst yourself than we do at the moment, and I think it's a lot calmer over here. And at least in my experience, I would hope that there are areas of the world that I'm in where people wouldn't be feeling that you're feeling, and not that they have to represent any group of people or have any responsibility for any group of people, but it certainly seems that that is the case for you. And with opening this channel, and I mean, no disrespect at the moment, the number of your subscribers is not huge, but it's growing,
Yeah.
and it should be growing. Already at this small level, you have a responsibility, and that's odd.
Yeah.
That's very odd for me.
Yeah, no, that's it was odd for me because, like, honestly, I think the running joke for us inside our group was like, man, we'd be lucky if we within a year we like hit 500 or 1,000 subs, but people have been like very receptive of it, and that's made us take into account of like, hey, people like what we're doing, and people seem to get, you know, that we're being authentic to ourselves. And I think with us more so, it wasn't a deliberate attempt to be like, okay, we're going to be political, like, screw the right, screw this and that. And it was just more so like, hey, this is us. Obviously, certain things within the context of music, and certain things politically can't be ignored. And you're right, America right now is very conflicted. Like, I mean, it's gotten in place. It's a lot easier than it was the last 4 years. But when you have people debating science as far as the coronavirus, or people are just like, oh, well, I don't want the government to track me while they're typing this on their iPhone. I'm like, really? Like, it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
and so it's very much a very interesting time. And I think, I will say this, this upcoming generation, especially seeing all my nieces and nephews, and especially working in a music store and seeing kids come in and seeing their worldview, I truly believe that this upcoming generation is going to change the world. And I believe that a lot of the things that or at least changed this country, I'll say that. And I truly believe like a lot of the things that we've seen in the past are going to be even more antiquated when they're our age. And I think the relationships between different people of colors, between, people of varying or different sexualities, or, whatever. Like, I think that's going to be a thing of the past, and people are going to view people as people. And for me, that's where I'm optimistic about. And it's just seeing how kids, carry that enthusiasm. And, I'm just hoping that, that happens, and, we get to a point where a channel like ours doesn't have to be political, or it doesn't have to be a situation where we have to address these things, and it's one of those, and that's the pipe dream for me, like, especially with this generation coming up, and seeing more people interested in music, and, seeing, having different conversations with people in terms of music, and be like, hey man, yeah, we really love the Jaguar thing you did. And, I went out and got a Jaguar, and I'm like, that's cool. Like, and it's just like, some of the things for me is just breaking down the social stereotypes of, oh, you have to be this or you have to be that in this country. And, you can't just enjoy music, and you can't just enjoy gear, but you have to stick to certain like things. It's like, I can't tell you how many times, especially at work, where people think, oh, you must love Mark bass, you must be a bassist. And I'm like, actually, actually, I'm more of a Fender guy. They're like, oh, Fender. Oh, okay. What Fender bass you like? Yeah, it's like P-bass. It's like, actually, I prefer the jazz bass, but that's because I prefer the Jazz Master. And they're like, And it's just like their eyes like bug out of their head when I say jazz master. They're like, what? Like you know, it's like, you prefer the jazz master? Like, what do you like about it? And I'm like, it sounds good. It like it sounds good. So it's, for me, it's just like, I like having, I like the fact that our channel is in a position to discuss these things without, with our, with people. And I know certain channels, like other channels, it's not as easy for them to have that discussion, like if need be, because it's it's like, how do you go about it without, without pissing one group or another group off? Because there are certain comments like I would read in a couple of like other brand videos, like there a while ago, Gibson posted something, Black History Month, and someone said something, and me kind of semi trolling, but not really. I was like, oh well, I'm just here for all the racist blues lawyers that are gonna, be on this comment section, and like, and then and it just blew up, and I was just like, look, I'm just saying, like, what you said was racist, and like, if it's like, more power to you, like if that's the guitar, and I mean, they took it down, obviously took down what I said, and I was just like, well, I really wanted to have this conversation, like, but
Hmm.
I think it's just one of those things of where I'm glad we're in a position where, we can predominantly talk about music, and we're having fun doing that. But I'm also glad we're in a position where we know a lot of other channels can't really discuss a lot of the social or political things going on, and have that dialogue, and have, because a lot of it, to be blunt, doesn't affect them in the same way that it affects myself or Tia. So it's one of those things that I'm just like, man, this is going to be, I hope it was one of those things when the channel started. I was like, I hope people understand and they're open to this. But I was like, I'm not dumb. I understand we live in America, and I understand some people just won't be.
Hmm.
But also, don't forget that YouTube is international, and I would hope that some of the negativity you're seeing in your country is not spread as far throughout the world. Of course, it is other places, but it's interesting to listen to what you're saying, and never having to have thought about, should I appear on screen? Will I? I was always expecting, like, you can't play guitar, or just that the way you speak is never about the color of my skin, which is why what you're saying is so interesting. But something I'd like to ask you is, why why do you think there are not more YouTube guitar channels with people of color as the hosts? I mean, there can't be that many.
No, from a few conversations I've had with people, I think I think it's because people approach, and I don't want to say this in a negative way. I think a lot of people don't think. I think a lot of people that I've talked to, well, I know a lot of people that I've talked to, think that they can't find success in that genre unless they're like a super shredder, like where, like, unless they're Tosin Abasi, then they can do it. But if there's somebody like me where I'm just like, I'm just gonna rip off Slow Dive and this will destroy you, then it's just like, I don't think I can do that. But I think it's just more so they don't think that there's going to be a lot of success found in that community because we don't look like the norm, or norm, I should say. And I think it's just more so some of it hasn't been very welcoming. Um,
Hmm.
just a little backstory. Like, I've outside of the channel, I've been playing music for a while, and like I've been fortunate enough to see a good bit of the world because of my musical endeavors. But I've also seen the very like Eurocentric side of it, where it's just like, I I think, we have to take into, being a person of color, we have to take into account our audience. And now with the internet, especially YouTube being a worldwide platform and something that's easier to access, you're starting to see the community of, black alternative or queer alternative, like all of that, all of that subset like come to community, because you have things like Punk Black, which we're doing an interview for. So yes, I am plugging that. Um, but
How dare
but
you?
how dare me? But but you're starting to see more representation in that community, and it be something that's more accepted now than it was like back in the day. But I still think that it's very much we don't feel as welcomed, if I'm being blunt. And I think a lot of the musical tastes are just different enough to where, unlike, and I put Fender on a pedestal, not because I want an endorsement, but because I think their marketing team is brilliant in being more inclusive and including different styles of music. Like 20 years ago or 10 years ago, you wouldn't see something like the Her Strat, and that
Yeah,
caters to a certain demographic. And I think
definitely.
now, people are, even though they don't feel as included in the dialogue of the gear community, you're starting to see more of it pop up. And I think it's more so where we realize that we're not going to be like the stereotype of like the church player, or the bass player or the drummer, and we could actually have a dialogue about pedals and stuff. And because I've always wondered, like, one of the biggest things, and I'm sure customers at my job hate me for it, is I love talking to people about pedals. And there's been a couple of women that have just been like, that would talk to me about pedals, and I just talk to them like they're a person, like.
Hmm.
And then at the end of the conversation, something similar to, "Whoa, you actually talked to me like I'm a person, and you didn't dumb it down or anything like that for me." Like, that means
Hmm.
a lot. Like, that. And I would get that reaction, and I'm just like, well, why would I dumb it down? Like like I like, you're a person. And
Hmm.
to kind of not rant too much on it, I think it's just people hadn't felt included, because there are still, racially, there's still a little bit, well, whether it's an unspoken thing or not, there's still a little bit of, I don't want to say segregation, or there's still a little bit of like, I feel like, as a person of color, we feel like we have to work a lot harder, or come at something differently, to get even a quarter of the attention of our white counterparts in the gear community. And it's just
Hmm.
like, that's like, we have to be Toast and Abasi level. And if we're not, like, then we got to think of something else. Like,
Hmm. Yeah,
so
but uh, I'm completely with you, and I think like the beauty about the channel is that if you think about like what is political, I think you don't have to like raise a hand or put a slogan somewhere. I think like even having that channel and kind of putting content there is already political, because you are making a statement that you are able and you are willing to kind of represent people, whatever people
yeah,
that may be, diverse people. And I think this is already a statement, and that is something that is there, especially on YouTube, that is there for generations. And people will see that, people will be enthused. Maybe your channel will spark others that kind of create their channel on their own and kind of create something. And ultimately, and this is what you just mentioned with Fender, companies will have to kind of recognize that audience with the her strat and with other people and other interests and other niches. And I think that's something, if companies want to grow their audience, if companies want to be seen not just as music instrument companies, but more like a lifestyle company, and a company that's kind of providing joy to everyone and to that diverse group of people, I think they have to take the broad picture and not just focus on the blues player or the jazz player, or just on the white people, or it's got to be much broader than that. And I think this is the beauty about the channel, that it is already political without having to have any kind of political claim in the title of the videos.
no, I
Just
agree.
by
And
being, just by existing.
Yeah,
I
correct.
agree, and I'm happy to be a part of that. Like, because realistically, I don't say this to be like anti-cool or anything like that, but I don't think, and I can speak for the channel. We're not doing this for like to get like a million subs or anything like that. We just do it because we love to do it. But
Hmm.
in that in that space, you know, there are certain things that we have to acknowledge that we can't just brush under. And, you know, at the end of the day, if we get however many subscribers, however many people like it, great. But we just love doing it, and that's first and foremost. And
Yeah.
for me, to add to that, something that's been rewarding for me, and I'll send it always in our group chat. Like whenever somebody, you know, whether it's a transgender person or a black person or whatever, like a Mexican or whatever, you know, they watch our videos and they say something positive directly to me, and like they'll
Mhm.
message me, and like, and I'm just like, one, I'm kind of dumbfounded. I'm just like, it's like, one, I'm like, my playing is not all that. I was like, I'm a songwriter more so than the guitars. But secondly, that really, it really leaves an impact on me because it makes me like we're doing something right. And
Mhm.
and we're not necessarily chasing this for fame or anything like that. Like, you know, I'm not expecting to be, you know, one of, you know, Marquise Brownlee, like, but it really does say, it really does says a lot. Like, you know, if I pull up in a Tesla, then that, you know, I'm not going to complain. But 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 it really does says a lot that the
So I
community.
have to interrupt you. My cat has been here the whole time, and I didn't know.
Ah, I love cats. Like oh my god, I would bring the animals in, but like we have too many
Are you
animals here.
okay? I just touched him with my foot, and it started moving.
The cat
Sorry,
was enjoying
Jason.
the conversation. Oh no, you're fine. I love animals, so I will.
Oh
But
no, yeah, he's
yeah,
awesome. Um, I had a couple of questions lined up, but so many questions. But
let's keep going if we can.
yeah, I'm happy to keep going. But William kind of confused. I've been away for a few days, so I've really missed him, and it's really nice that he's been sat under here, obviously missing me. That touched me a little bit.
Aw.
Don't scratch the door, you beast. Yeah, the real cat dad comes out now. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It kind of, first of all, I'm very pleased that you have your channel and pleased with what you're doing. It both inspires me and saddens me to hear the things you're saying, because I'm trying to bring my kids up. I have two kids. One is 4, one is going to be 6 very soon, and they're just so innocent, and people aren't born hating other people. I know that's a very common thing to say, but people aren't born hating anything. They're just born, and then they grow, or they're molded in this way. And the more people like yourself doing this, the more it's going to become the norm. And I don't think anything should get in the way of someone wanting to do something with their art or with their dreams. And it saddens me to hear that you guys have to think about that as a factor of what you're doing. And I
Oh
just
yeah.
hope that people are watching you, and even if it changes one person, which it obviously has already, then more channels will spring up. And yeah, I do remember what I was going to ask you, Jason. Is there anybody else doing things that you would like to promote that are in a similar vein to yourself?
There's a couple of people that I'm. Oh man, I can't leave out any friends.
Okay.
Because they will definitely, I will definitely get my phone blown up. Like, Jason, you didn't reference us, you didn't name drop us. So I'm gonna put this in segments. As far as bands, a band you should check out. One of my favorite bands, and I don't say that like lightly. They're literally one of my favorite bands. Is this new band called Love. Um, it's two of my good friends, and their music is amazing. Um, Other bands, I would say my friend Matt. It's funny. He's a vocalist in my band as well. He, but he's also the vocalist of another band called Dim, and they're pretty awesome. Like they're definitely. I feel like I'm just perplexed that he still wants to work with us because they're so good. Like, but other than that, there are my friends called Limbs. They're an amazing band, and a funny story. Two of the members have actually I've been in different bands with, and you know, and it's funny watching how they saw a lot of racial interactions with me, and how they've become like how they've become very, very like understanding in a way that I don't know if they knew about. Like my friends Austin and Jordan in that band in particular, like um, I would tell anybody to support that band, mainly because I'm like they're definitely for people of color and different genders and everything else. So I would, especially if you like Under Oath, that would be a band I would say to check out. Let's see who else before I forget. Um, um, let's see. As far as channels, other things, Punk Black. Again, we have an interview on the channel coming up with them. I would
Hmm.
I would definitely advise checking that out. Vaughn is amazing, um, and and we did get him to play guitar, and I was just like, oh man, this dude is like, not only is he the founder, but he rips. Um,
Okay.
Other than that, man, I feel like I should have wrote a list.
Is that
um,
Punk Black TV? Sorry, just asking.
yeah, I think it is Punk Black TV.
Okay, I've
Um,
queued that up for afterwards.
and they do this thing. They do shows that highlights bands of varying ethnicities and different genders. Like they put a strong focus on that, and it's something that when I moved to Atlanta, it was something that made me happy as a person. Like, um, I didn't realize like that sense of community was there, and they partially inspired me wanting to do something like this. Um, if other than that, I would say follow us on our socials. Working Class Music or WCM Show on Instagram. You can follow me at Jason T Mays on Instagram. I like memes. And
Who doesn't?
yeah. Other than that, oh, I guess the band that I'm in. I'm in a band called Young Mountain. We're releasing our EP later this year, thankfully. um, and I would say something that I'm adamant about, and I can't think of any organizations off the top of my head, um, but I'm very adamant about mental health and mental health awareness. Oh, I can't forget I can't forget my friends the Villa, because I'm going on tour with them in September, which I'm kind of scared
The
about
Villa.
with the whole COVID. Yeah, the Villa Worship. That's who they are. Um, my band did a split with them last year to raise money for Black Lives Matter, and that was something that I was very, very pleased to do. Again, the Villa is fronted by former Issues frontman and Woe Is Me frontman, if you're into the whole Warped Tour post-hardcore scene, Michael Bond, and I love that dude. We did an interview with him as well. So, and yeah, but all I can say is like, rather than thinking of other things to promote, if there's something in your area where that brings attention, like whoever's listening to this, like if there's something in your area that brings attention to marginalized groups of people or mental health or racism or anything that's like bringing attention to gay, transgender, lesbian, like anything like that, just support it. Because we're really big about support for marginalized groups of people.
Hmm.
And I know locally that differs for everybody, but if it's an organization you believe in that supports people and human rights, then check that out.
Thanks, Matt. If you have forgotten anyone, by the way, then just put it in the comments section of the video, and we'll pin it to the top. And maybe include a few links in the podcast description as well. But I guess a lot of what you've just said has really rung true with myself, and I think I can speak for Dan as well. When
Hmm.
what we try to do with this podcast is just be positive about whatever it is we're talking about. And I know that I do that with the YouTube channel. It's like, even if something's not so positive, where's the joy in something? And um, I'm not in any of those groups that you've mentioned, but what I do is mental health, and I just said do.
Dude, I wasn't going to say anything. I was laughing internally, but
Good. That means we're on the same page. It's just about, for me, without being too sappy, is about just finding things you love and sharing that with people you love and respecting each other, both as musicians, as artists, but just also as a fellow human being. It just, to me, it makes absolutely no sense why it wouldn't be that way. So
exactly.
it's because it
Exactly.
doesn't make people's it makes your life, if you're hating something, you're putting energy into that hate, and it's making you feel bad. So why would you do it? It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't, and I completely agree with you. And to add on to that, uh, a lot of people that I would meet, they would question, like, if they follow me online, they would question, it's like, is that really you? Are you really that positive? And I was like, no, there are days I'm grumpy, but I generally try to be that positive. Like I generally encourage like a good mental well being, because like you said, why put that energy into something negative? You could, like it doesn't make sense to me. Like we're people, and we've all had our own experiences, and it means a lot to me to know that, you know, granted, like we're across the world from each other, but we can relate on so many things, and we can have this conversation, and it can be encouraging. Like I used to be a person that was like very depressive and whatnot, and I just don't want to do that. Like that's not fun to me. Like I want to be happy. I want to enjoy things. Like I love, like, I just want to meet people and enjoy people, and like the person that they see online and in the videos is generally who I am. And I it's important to encourage mental health, and especially in our music community, because that's a whole different conversation, but that's something that is not encouraged. And for me, like seeing a lot of bands that are affected by it, um, that's something, again, that like I said, I'm just very adamant about, and I would encourage that, like, to be blunt, just do what you love, be happy. And I know that's like hippie sounding of me, but it is true. Like, it's just like, do what you love and don't focus on the negative stuff. Like, I love this channel, and I can 110% tell you that everybody involved in this channel would not be doing it if they didn't love it.
Mhm.
It looks like a
I
lot
think
of work.
Andy, yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Sorry, Dan,
So
continue.
Now, I was just about to say, I think that like Andy can fully relate to that, and me too. And I think the wise words I'm taking from what you just said is just, you don't have to get up every single day with a smile, because there are bad days, but it's really about how you approach other people. If you approach them in a positive manner, if you approach them with respect, and I think that's a very good starting point to kind of heal yourself and also heal others. Because I'm like, especially with your channel, I can totally see that there's that generalized criticism about like the cancel culture, and people being kind of too flat and genderless and not like having enough profile. I don't think that is true. I think the complete opposite is true. Like, people are having more profile, and people might not think in genders, but they are everything. Like, they can be whatever they want, and if you respect the human being and the entity that is right in front of you, I think that's the perfect starting point for everyone. And I think this message like is conveyed through your channel more than through many others, and that's what I said. It's a good starting point and a political statement to have that available at hand on YouTube and on Instagram, and all those social media sources. And I think that's a very valuable and very important contribution to the overall like healing that you
no,
mentioned as a
I
goal. Yeah.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree, and I think that's, the wonderful thing about this community, or that I'm starting to see, is that we're all viewing each other as people first. And like, because in this country, I can't, for the life of me, I don't understand why it's hard to respect a person, respect their proper pronouns, just respect an individual. Like, you
Yeah.
don't, and and that's what it boils down to. It's just respect. Like, an example I like to use is I'm not the most religious person ever. Like, which is funny because my pedal board says otherwise. My pedal board says I'm a worship player, but I'm not. And, but 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 at the same time, I'm not going to knock anybody for their religious beliefs. Like, I think everybody is entitled to believe what they want as long as it doesn't infringe on the rights of others and on other people, on the well-being of others. And, for me, I can have that dialogue with people, and, some of my best friends are super religious, and, but the core of our friendship is the respect that we have for each other, and the respect to know that I'm not going to insult their beliefs and they're not going to insult mine, and they're going to judge me based on the person they know.
Sure. It's just kind of a tangent, but not trying to bring it back to guitars. I can't get this thought out of my head. I mean, not that we have to talk guitars, of course, but this thought is in my head, and I don't know where it's going to go. So forgive me, for getting there in a roundabout way. But we talked about Fender earlier, and you have a very nice hat on right now, Jason. And
yeah, thank you.
This has been a very Fender-centric episode.
Yeah.
But talking about the Her Strat and everything, we do see Fender doing what I would say the right thing and being very open and very, not necessarily left, but certainly inclusive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here it comes. Here's the part that I'm not sure where I'm going with. When you compare that to Gibson, who are being very, that's ours, that's mine, we're the best. I don't see those guys, and I'm going to say guys because it is guys. I don't see them being inclusive at all, and see those as saying, these are our toys, you can't play with them. And I don't mean that as our racial group or our financial group. I just mean that it saddens me what Gibson do recently, and it's not just Fender and Gibson. We know there are other guitar brands, Dan, such as Ibanez. But there are several large groups, and I think that from what we're talking about, I have more and more love for Fender, for being inclusive, and more lack of understanding for what Gibson is doing right now.
Yeah.
I'd love to know your thoughts on that, Jason.
It's funny because I know Tia has an SG, and she does like Gibson, but she does agree with that sentiment. I don't know, like Gibson. I think because they transitioned to more of a lifestyle company, I think their mindset was, hey, we can be the Apple computers of the music world, just without all the morality of it. Because it's like Apple's a very left-leaning company, and it's just like, I think Gibson more so has a classist identity. A lot of their guitars aren't for the working class musician. It's very, and personally, I think it's, put like this. As much as I would love to see Samuel L. Jackson like do the commercial for Gibson, it still doesn't change the fact that it's a $10,000 guitar and no one's going to be able to afford it. And it's just like, for me, I think Gibson, for me, I think especially when they came out suing every other company that has a Les Paul type design, I think to me that kind of just, I don't want to crap on that brand, but I think as a person, especially as a person of color, it's just like, wow, that's not cool. That's not cool. Maybe if your guitars weren't so out of touch, most people wouldn't have to buy a different Les Paul style guitar. And I think personally, I think Gibson more so than racially, but I think Gibson in general is out of touch with this generation, and they're towing the line of oh, we're going to go for the older generation, the boomer generation. We're going to go for them. And then, maybe the hobbyists that have money to enjoy this that are within our generation. But I think that's who their aim is. And working at a music store, especially in a more affluent community, um, it sucks because that's generally the demographic that buys a lot of their guitars, and I'm just like, like put it like this. Due to my interaction, not even with Gibson as a company, but with a lot of their clientele and a lot of their people and a lot of where they kind of entail as far as their branding goes. I personally would like unless somebody gave me a Gibson, and I'm kind of biased because I used to have a '64 ES335, so it's like unless yeah yeah so I was like I'm kind of biased, but uh, I personally don't see myself wanting to be associated with a company like that because they're to me when they do stuff certain things it comes off as performative, like especially given their audience and given the backlash that some of their audience would give them on things like Facebook, and just seeing the comment threads. Like, don't get me wrong, Fender has that too, but Fender's pushed back against that. Like, I think and Fender's put their feet in the sand and be like, look, we're including everybody. You don't have to like it. Our guitars are for everybody. And we have a jazz master, a vintage spec jazz master at every price point. This is not just for the blues lawyer, a hobby enthusiast. And it's just like we want more people to be seen with our guitars because as a company, I think they genuinely care. And and I think that's what separates the two. Where Gibson, it just seems like more performative. And again, it's just my opinion as a just my opinion. They just seem more performative in their political leaning when it's necessary or when it's convenient for the social conversation at hand. And I think, I do think Gibson makes great guitars. And I think the new Epiphone line, like, especially because I thought it was like, oh, they just changed the headstock, but that wasn't the case. Like they're great guitars. I just, like, for me, I can't tell you who's the Tom Morello of Gibson or the Herstrat of Gibson. And for
Sure.
me, that's kind of like, or even the Kingfish of Gibson. Like I know there's Gary Clark Jr., but he plays Fenders as well. So, it's kind of all over the place. And even then he still falls in the blues category, not blues lawyer, but blues. Um, but yeah, I think that's Gibson's biggest hurdle is for me personally watching them is inclusivity and making it seem authentic, because there are plenty of people who love their guitars and plenty of people who swear by them. And I have gone on record many a time saying that 64 was the best guitar I've ever owned, and I should have never sold it, but different story. um, but I think I would hope that Gibson can see what's going on and add something of value to the social conversation that would seem very authentic, which for a while their whole thing is play authentic. Um, uh, so, so I would hope that they see something like that, and honestly, they should take a page from Fender, because like for me, I never question Fender now. Like in terms of like their marketing and everything, I don't like as a person of color. I don't question it because it is very representative, and for Fender, it wasn't something that's been like overnight. Like this is like I remember, I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago, whenever their marketing changed, and I forgot her name, but she would always demo the Squier line, like the vintage modified, and she would always demo that. And I remember they turned off the comments because of some of the like flack she was getting.
Was
But
it?
I just that
Did she have short hair?
yes,
Yeah, I
yeah,
remember
short
her.
black,
Yeah, short
yeah,
black hair.
and,
Yeah.
and like for me, it was that moment then, like years ago. I was like, oh, this company's forward thinking. Like they know what they're doing. Whereas Gibson is just like now I feel like if they tried to do that now, it would just seem a little performative and it's just not really authentic, and more so like, hey, it's kind of like Pride Month, like where every
Yeah,
company's
yeah.
like, hey, here's
Mhm.
our flag. And then, come July 1st, it's like, all right, let's change that. Let's scoot that under the rug. All right, back to business. But
Mhm.
so I don't know. As a person of color, I will say it has affected how I see Gibson as a company. And to be quite frank, like I don't see them I don't see them putting out interesting guitars like on a level trying to take that mindset for me out of the equation and just look at it from that like for me they don't put out interesting guitars, and when they do it's like out of reach for the normal person, and it's just like, okay, cool, that's a cool guitar, but I don't have $6,000. Well, I guess I'll sell my kidney to get one, but hey, it'll be worth it. But it's just
I'm
like,
going to have to put on screen Fergie and Francis' comment where he says Fender seem to try and stay current and improve. Gibson seem to just put a new color of lipstick on the same old pig every year.
exactly, like, and
So,
this is
some of
just
those
a
pigs are
rant.
pretty nice, but yeah, I hear what he's
They
saying.
are. No, they are, and I'll agree with that. Some of those pigs are pretty nice, and I know Xander's probably freaking out right now because he's a big Gibson fan, but he knows where I'm coming from. Like, Xander's our sound guy, and but I think for me it's just like I look at the Adam Jones signature model from Gibson, and I'm like, there's no reason that should cost $10,000, and it's just like, that there's a bunch of Tool fans. I'm not one of them, but there are a bunch of Tool fans, and it's just like, why don't you just release something like that as an Epiphone version where those fans can afford it? And it's
Mhm.
like, Jay Mascis, because I don't know if anybody remembers, since we were talking about his telly. I don't know if anybody remembers when the Jay Mascis the signature Squier Jazzmaster came out. Fender didn't have a Jazzmaster that was close to vintage spec outside of the classic player, and even then, it was just something that Jay Mascis did to put into the hands of players. And I would dare say, like within the last 10 years, it's probably the most popular Squire model ever.
I
And
agree.
and but it
Mhm.
was something that everybody can afford, and it's just like, that's cool. And it's just like, for me, like, I would like to see more of that from Gibson. Like, release some, like, not only
Well,
that, be
to be
more
fair,
inclusive.
Gary Clark Jr. did that with the Epiphone, and he played the Epiphone, and he said
He did.
himself that he wanted to release a signature version of something he actually played, not just the Epiphone version.
Yeah, no, he
Um,
did, and I was going to mention that because he did do that, and I was going to be like, yeah, I got to give him props, but I think the thing is, like, with Gary, is he still occupies that blues world where Jay Mascis is relevant to the indie world.
mm,
So
mm.
it was more so like, okay, not only am I seeing, the Jay Mascis Jazz Master with Tame Impala, like, I'm seeing it from everyone. Whereas the Gary Clark is just like, if you're not a fan of Gary Clark, you probably won't check it out unless you like the finish. And it's just like, I feel like Gibson needs something like that where someone like, someone, I don't even want to say if Jay Mascis, like, totally, I know it probably would never happen, but if they released a Yancey from Sigaros signature Epiphone, like, kind of like, it probably won't happen, but if they did that, like, I would be all over it personally. But I think,
Mhm.
getting an artist that is currently relevant, um, or maybe even an Ed O'Brien signature or the National signature, like somebody like that that's inclusive, and making a signature model that's within the price point of everybody, and more importantly, making sure that signature model is good. I think that could turn the tide, and that can gain more good faith from people.
Totally agree, dude.
We're
I
best
mean,
friends now. See,
yeah, we're gonna have to wrap this up because it's quite late here, and I
you
want to
need
do another
sleep.
one with you. Yeah, well, occasionally my cat's,
Well, they
quite happy, and I'm
Yeah.
jealous. But yeah, this has gone from a conversation that I didn't know what was going to happen to one that I honestly felt a little bit uncomfortable with, because it's, as Dan said, a minefield for saying the wrong thing, and I feel that I'm quite naive in this sense, and I don't understand what it's like for you guys and other people that are not in my situation, and I just try and make fun music and fun guitar stuff. But there is a message to be heard, and there is things to be said. And I'm very happy to have you here, Jason, and use our platform to help you forward your platform. And it's an honor to have you here, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you guys for having us, and hopefully next go around we can get Tia to take a day off.
Yeah, that would be amazing to have the two of you.
Yeah.
That's double the chemistry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
do that at some point for sure. We've said actually, I think, Dan, that we're going to start bringing guests back in season 3 of the podcast. 'Cause we say that all the time, and we make such good friends with people, and then we very rarely interact with them in the future because we're so busy, But I think season 3, we would love to bring back people back, and of course you guys are on that list, and we have to have Tia, as Dan said.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
I'm just going to put this on the screen from Ryan at 60 Cycle Hum that he's publishing a Gibson video after this. Well, there's another reason not to watch Ryan's channel.
See, oh man, honestly, and Ryan might not believe this, but he is one person that I'm excited to meet at NAMM this summer. He's one of the people I was like, man, he's a cool guy. I watch his videos and I'm like, man, he's fun. I was like,
he's nothing like that in real life. He's a complete pain in my ass. He's he's a thief and a braggart. And sadly a good friend as well. So ignore what we said about Gibson. Go and watch Ryan's video after this.
Yeah, watch his video. Just ignore what it said.
Yeah, okay. Jason, thank you so much. Dan, would you do the honor of asking people to give us 5 stars on iTunes, please?
Of course, as usual. Make sure to check out Jason's channel, Working Class Music, as well as Instagram. And if you like this episode, if you like to see us get new guests on the show every week, make sure to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, give Andy a thumbs up on his channel, subscribe, hit the bell, and do all the fancy stuff that all the YouTubers tell you to do. Apart from that, it was a pleasure to meet you, Jason.
Likewise.
Again, very enlightening, and always good to kind of connect to people within like that industry and within the YouTube world. And looking forward to many more projects, and what's up for in the next couple months on your channel, and hope the best for your growth, and for good vibes and cool videos. So everyone check out their channel. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure as usual. Get some sleep and some rest after the Italy trip, and hope to see all of you next week. Bye, everyone.
I'd like to see a Jag-Stang video on Working Class Music. That's what I want.
We'll do one. We'll do one. You have to guess. You have to guest on it though.
Deal.
Yay.
Thanks to the people in the chat for sticking with us, and thanks to everybody else. I will see you all very soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Oh, don't go away, Jason. Don't go away. We're just going to end the show.
Guitar Stories Podcast, your #1 show for everything guitar.